Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Journey to Wholeness podcast. I am your host, Caleb, and I'm glad you're here. Tune in. Today we got a good one. We're going to be talking about mental health and I'm going to be sharing some ideas and thoughts that have helped me along in my own journey and in hopes to hopefully encourage and, inspire somebody else in their own journey. The first one that we're going to be talking about is acceptance. The reason I chose acceptance as the first one is because I feel like you can't really change what you aren't willing to accept in life. Whether that's a disorder, a diagnosis that the doctor may have given you, whatever a situation, there could be a lot of things in life that can, you have to be willing to accept rather than agree with. If you agree with something, then you agree with what they told you that it is. But if you accept it, you're not necessarily agreeing with it, but you're accepting, okay, this is something that I have. This is something that I may have to, this is something that this is a part of me. And I'm going to fully accept what this is and in totality so that I can fully surrender to the healing process of whatever that may look like for you. And so, number one, I chose is acceptance. Uh, Number two, I would say journaling. That has kind of helped me a lot. Just writing down my thoughts, not keeping it all bottled up in my head and really putting pen to paper, and just really getting out what is in me. Because a lot of times I know for myself, if I keep something bottled in for a long period of time, it's going to come out. It's going to be released in uh, maybe not so healthy form if I wouldn't have just written it down earlier and gotten it out of my head. And most times when I do write something down, to be honest, it sounds more crazy when I read it back to myself. I'm like, man, I was thinking that kind of thought, or I was thinking in that way. And so whenever I write it down, it just kind of brings clarity and cancels out all the confusion. Let's see, number three, changing the way I speak to myself is, I would say, another one that really has helped me. Like doing daily affirmations every time I wake up and speaking more positive words rather than negative words over myself. In my past, I used to really speak negative words over myself. I used to say things like, I can't do this, or I'm not qualified, or I'm not worthy of it. And now, I kind of flipped that and have, changed it to, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. I am the head and not the tail. Um, and just speaking life over me instead of death, and words that aren't really serving me any purpose and any good. The next one I want to go over is surrounding myself around the right people. I believe whoever you surround yourself with will reflect who you are internally. And what I mean by that is, if you surround yourself around positive people and people who are going somewhere in life and people who have something going for themselves, you yourself will be on that same track. But if you surround yourself with people who aren't really going anywhere, who are kind of doing the same thing day in and day out, don't really are, don't really have any purpose in life or aren't really headed in some positive direction of their career, whatever it may look like, then you're going to be, you're going to be the 10th friend. It's like, man, you're not going to be going anywhere. That's the truth. And that's something that I had to learn in my own journey. And so I just started surrounding myself with the right people, and I can really see how my life is taking a whole nother trajectory. The next one I want to go over is, I would say, I had to learn how to keep showing up even when it got hard. Keep showing up whenever I heard somebody say one time, "Are you going to believe what the doctor said, or are you going to believe the report of the Lord?" And I firmly believe that. You got to keep showing up in spite of whatever the situation or circumstance may look like in your life. You can't give up whenever life gets hard. You got to keep going. You got to keep pushing. You got to keep grinding. You got to keep getting after it. You got to keep putting the plow forward. You got to keep pressing towards the mark, because that's what it's all about. You can't give up whenever somebody gives you a negative response to something. You can't give up whenever somebody tells you that you can't do something. You just got to keep going, because there's greater in you than you thought there ever was. I had to learn that in my own self, in my own journey. I used to think that, why would I keep going if this is, they told me that this is who I am, so I'm gonna believe it. I'm gonna receive it as that, and I'm not even gonna press forward. I'm not gonna keep going because I believed a lie about me. And so now I believe that this lie to be true. And so who am I to keep going after the thing that I believe that God has told me I'm supposed to be going after? So you can't let other people's voices, you can't let other people's ideas or ideations about you get into your own head about who you are and what God has called you to do. And I believe that whenever you just keep showing up, and even when it's hard, you'll see the benefits of it later down the line. You'll reap the benefits of it, and you'll see the fruit later down the line. The next one I want to say is being aware of your triggers. For me, whenever I was, going through certain things in life and trying to find an outlet, but not really having the best positive outlet, I wasn't necessarily aware of my actions. I wasn't aware of the triggers that would come up. I believe whenever you are aware of your triggers, then you can change the way that you react when the trigger begins to show up. But if you aren't aware of your triggers, then how can you fully, you know, how if you're not aware of your triggers, then you can't fully change your triggers. You get what I'm saying? I hope this makes sense. If you don't change your reaction to the trigger, you can't change your trigger from showing up. The only thing that you can change is the way that you react to the trigger. And so I found that in my own walk, whenever I have just kind of been more aware, and I think for me, therapy is another tool that I've been using that has helped me be more aware of my triggers. And so because I'm now more aware of the triggers that I have, I'm able to handle them in a certain way and react to them in a certain way whenever they do show up, whenever they do rise up or fester up in me. And so, yeah, the next one I want to kind of go over is being more mindful and intentional of what I listen to. For me specifically, what I mean for this for me is personally just music. Um, Music has always been like a big influence in my life. I've always loved to listen to music, and whenever I was, not really living the per se Christian lifestyle or still living in the world, I would be listening to music that wasn't really serving me any purpose. I was listening to music that wasn't really serving me any good. And I started to realize that when I got into therapy, that certain music that I would listen to would make me have a certain emotion, or it would bring about a certain mood in me that I didn't even know was in me. And I found out whenever I switched the music and whenever I switched to more positive music and more, more of like a worship type music than rapping, or just more thing, not even music per se, like just podcasts or just things that could really edify me and grow me into who I'm trying to become, then I saw my emotions take a whole different trajectory. And I saw that my mood was better because I switched my music taste and switched what I was listening to on a daily basis. Number 8, I would say, is talking to someone. For me, I believe that, we talked about therapy. That's what I've been talking about. And I didn't see any change, or I didn't see anything get better in my life until I actually decided to go to therapy. And growing up, I thought that therapy wasn't really conducive. I thought that it wasn't really, if you go to therapy, then there's something wrong with you. Or if you say you talk, you tell somebody that you talk to a shrink or a psychiatrist and there's something wrong with you. But in all reality, I believe if you do go to therapy, it's more of like a cheat code to life, because you're able to see yourself from a different perspective that you weren't able to see yourself once before. And then you change your habits, you change the way that you talk to yourself, you change everything about yourself to become this better version of yourself. I think therapy is really a cheat code if you look at it the right way. And therapy for me has been the driving force in who I have becoming in this whole process of uh, becoming more whole, becoming my whole self. The next one I kind of want to go over and share with you guys is celebrating. I had to learn how to celebrate every milestone, every accomplishment in my life, the little things, because I believe that when you celebrate the little wins, it gives you the fuel for the big wins that you'll need later down the line. And so you have to appreciate the small moments. You got to appreciate the the little achievements that don't really seem as big right now, but they're gonna they're gonna bring fuel to what is gonna be the big win later down the line. And for me, the way that I think, the way my mind works, for me, celebrating every achievement, every moment that I accomplish, for me, that has helped me tremendously because I used to be so hard on myself. I used to tell myself I couldn't do certain things, and I used to not feel always qualified or worthy. And so for me, when I celebrate every moment, it lets me know, like, hey, no, you are qualified, you are worthy, and you did do a good job, and I'm proud of you. I had kind of had to learn how to love on myself and tell myself, like, yo, I'm proud of you, man. Like, you did this. You did what you said you were going to do, and you actually fulfilled it. You followed through with it. And so for me, that's a huge one. It's celebrating every moment. Number 10, the last one here, I would say, is I had to learn how to really believe in myself more than other people believed in me. If you don't believe in yourself, then how can you expect someone else to believe in you? You can't expect to have any growth, I feel like, in any area of your life if you don't truly believe that you can do it. You got to believe that you can do the impossible because you can. And truth be told, for man, things are impossible, but for God, all things are possible. And so for me, being a child of God, I got to believe wholeheartedly that I can really do and achieve certain things that most people feel like they can't do. I have a certain kind of faith. I have a certain kind of confidence about myself, not in myself, but in who God says I am. He says I'm more than a conqueror. And so I got to truly believe that thing. If I truly believe I can conquer the world, then I'm going to go after the world like I can truly conquer it because I can. I truly can. And so I got to believe a certain way. I got to move a certain when you I believe that when you believe in a certain category about yourself, then you start moving in a different way. You start talking different. You start walking different. You start walking like you're doing that thing. You start talking and speaking in a way that shows that you are capable of achieving that thing. Your language starts to change. The people you surround yourself with starts to change because you believe that you are going after a better version of yourself. And so for me, I believe that I can accomplish certain things. I believe that I can get through nursing school. I believe that I can have these certain friend groups and surround myself around these certain people that can edify me and lift me up when I'm feeling down. I got to believe that about myself. Once I started believing that about myself, then I was able to really take in what God said about me and who He says I am. So hopefully this can encourage somebody and and bless somebody. God bless. See you guys back on the next episode.